What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is April 9th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, I want to dive straight into talking about a variety of decentralized finance or DeFi cryptocurrencies that I think have a serious chance to take off here over the next coming weeks as the broader DeFi market starts to garner traction. Now, I want to be fair, I'm going to tell you guys what plays I'm currently in at the moment. Some of these I do have positions in, but outside of that as well, some plays that I don't have positions in and I really think are genuinely worth watching. And outside of that as well, talking again in depth about why I think this sector is primed to really take off. So we've got lots of things to discuss right after our quick sponsor. And our sponsor for today's episode is Taxbit. The 2020 tax season is here. Calculating taxes on cryptocurrency is complex and time-consuming, but Taxbit has made it easy by automating the entire process. Link your exchanges and wallets to seamlessly pull your transactions through their tax engine and auto-generate your tax forms. Aside from automating taxes, Taxbit provides crypto enthusiasts real-time portfolio tracking and tax optimization visibility so that you can make tax optimization crypto trades throughout the year. If you're looking to stay IRS compliant, have real-time portfolio visibility, and save money on cryptocurrency taxes, then Taxbit is the platform for you. Check out the link down below in the description for more information. Alrighty, everyone, so let's go ahead and dive straight into the conversation here. Now, as we talked about in our last video on Wednesday, Bitcoin has started to slowly cave in on its momentum here. We're not seeing any major leaps. We're seeing slower momentum on higher lows and higher highs. And now we've even started to set in a lower high for Bitcoin. And again, I think that there's no coincidence that this started back here in the later part of December, really started to shape up going into January and February as we saw altcoin dominance experience its first wave increase of the altcoin cycle that really kicked off on January 1st. And now we're starting to enter into the secondary cycle where Bitcoin might experience sideways price action or even slight losses in price as liquidity circulates. Now, it is imperative for us to understand in this case that if Bitcoin is going to go sideways or start to lose some of its value as liquidity circulates into more riskier plays in the market in different sectors, we need to understand what sectors are going to do well. We've talked about layer ones and layer twos. We've talked about NFTs. But the biggest one that we've talked about, and I got to say at the end of the day, guys, whether it's fundamentals or even the speculative nature of crypto and the potential opportunity that people are betting on, decentralized finance or DeFi is hands down going to be probably the top performer in this market in the broad sense of things, right? Surely NFTs, if you're talking about a much smaller market size, might have greater multiples in the grand scheme of things. But I have to say, if you want to find that perfect risk-reward bet, in my opinion, it exists in DeFi. And there's still a ton of great plays and opportunities out there in the market. So let's go ahead and dive first into talking a little bit about why we believe DeFi as a sector is going to be making a comeback. And my target range is for some time really in the next week or so in mid-April. So first off, let's go ahead and take a look at one of the most time-tested indexes for decentralized finance. This is the DeFi Index Perpetual Futures traded over FTX. And what's really great about it is it baskets the performance of a variety of decentralized finance cryptocurrencies. So we can generally see here that as we went through the month of January and into the early phase of February, most DeFi tokens were going up. We had an exponential rally here from around 2,500 on the index all the way up here to over 12,000. A massive return here, even if you're just considering in dollar terms, or as we'll take a look at in a moment, in terms of Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? So first off, let's just take a look at the dollar version of this, right? We can see here that not only we had a consistent level of higher lows on each and every pullback, meaning that buyers are coming in at higher prices, they're paying a premium, they're not waiting for price to go lower. This is an optimistic sign in price analysis. But outside of that as well, we recently set new US dollar all-time highs here. Well, I guess technically in the sense of a close compared to what we said back here in February. So we're testing back to this range, showing confidence. And when we had this doomsday sell-off that everyone was very scared about, right? And even though we put out a video talking about Bitcoin going down, I'm not going to say it was the end of the world at all. It was just a typical sell-off in crypto markets. You've seen it time and time again if you've been here before, right? Well, during this pullback here, we had buyers coming in, not down here, not over here to $1,000 or $9,500, but at the range where price generally faces resistance, when people are usually planning to take profits and it starts to materialize in price. Now we've gotten back above this range and look like we're ready to climb up higher. It's just a matter of really having a few key plays in the DeFi space kicking off things. And taking a look here against the DeFi perpetual index here against Bitcoin, right? So we're building a custom ratio here. Take a look at this, right? We have 3 consistent lows here on the ratio against Bitcoin. And outside of that as well, we've started to kick back up. All we're really waiting for here is a key set of events to happen, right, in price. We want to get above this point of resistance here. So we want to set in a high, and we also want to set in maybe a higher low, possibly on previous resistance. So maybe here, might even be a little bit lower, but eventually breaking up, testing up here, and getting above this line of resistance here. That would be a really optimistic case scenario for DeFi here. Now again, even if you're just going to expect it to trade up to this range, that's not entirely bad. I think that still this is a good general range of profit potential, especially if you're in the right DeFi place. But I think we've got a chance to break through and really have a super cycle here, right? Ignore really where I'm pointing to on this, guys. It's not specific. We don't have any range to work with here. That's the thing. This is completely uncharted territory. So it's really going to be about seeing that vertical momentum come in and then seeing the warning signs that a correction is coming in, which we can't predict right now. So let's go ahead and talk about the fun stuff here. What are the coins that I'm watching in the DeFi space? You guys have waited long enough. So first off, I want to talk about one play that I've been very vehement about, and I know a lot of people are going to be excited about it. It is a small cap play in the DeFi space, and that is one of our top 10 coins for the year, DHedgeDAO or DHT. Now, I want to be very, very clear with you guys. There are not many plays in the derivative space that interest me in DeFi, right? There are large plays like synthetics, but I think a lot of the plays out there so far haven't really shown anything. And for those of you who know, don't know in this case, it's completely fine. Derivatives are a wide basket of different assets. They're options contracts, futures contracts, all types of different ways that you can get exposure towards certain asset classes or indexes through derivatives or synthetic assets, right? And DHedge does something really, really cool. They're built on top of the synthetics protocol. And to give you the kind of one sentence pitch here, they allow anyone to become a hedge fund and allow other participants to invest and basically copy trade any fund. So I'm actually working with DHedge right now. I'm basically creating a DHedge DAO in this case, where I've put in, for example, $20,000 of my own money into the fund, and people can co-invest alongside it. It's all autonomized in a smart contract through an automated trading algorithm, and people can actually follow this general strategy that's readily available and allowed for anyone to participate in it. Right? So that's a very long one-sentence pitch, but again, guys, I love the idea here. I'm putting my own money into building one of these protocols, and yes, I do own a position in DHT. I think, honestly, it's an extremely powerful idea. How could it not be to allow anyone to be able to run their own hedge fund and allow for anyone to participate? And here's the thing about it that really is the kicker for me. You can have competitive performance fees. For example, I'm only charging 5%, whereas some people charge 20%. I don't really care to make money. I just want to have people participating alongside me and hopefully have the best winning strategy. And that's the other dynamic here, is allowing for people to have an immutable trailblaze of how someone's performed here, a track record here to see whether or not you've actually performed well or not, right? And that's the benefit of blockchain, is the transparency there, right? So overall here, right, we've had these sets of higher lows, these generally higher highs. I want to see a continuation of that. I want to test up towards the all-time highs here set in September. Again, we might face resistance here setting that higher low. We might generally break out above there. Either way, get above this point and continue on for a breakout here, a clear U-shaped recovery. I like that about DHedge. I've been holding patiently here as I had averaged and built my positions here throughout this general time period here back over the last few months. But again, still holding up with Bitcoin, so not bad here even in the interim. Next up here, I want to talk about Sushi Swap. Now this is a play that I do not own any position in right now. Sushi Swap, which peaked back here, generally speaking outside of course, the summer rally where Sushi Swap was all the craze, really setting in its new US dollar all-time high and also a nice relative high here for Bitcoin in early February, has been on a decline. But what's really important to know, even though I don't own any Sushi Swap, is I gotta be honest, the chart looks really good here. You've got this kind of midpoint here on the cycle where we had the last few parabolic days of run up and price appreciation against Bitcoin. And we've made that support 3 times here, one over here and over here in March and early April. This is exactly what I'd like to see here for Sushi Swap. Not to mention, it's an important point of contestment here, back here, before we continue on the sell-off. So I want to see this being made a support, and if we kick up above this previous small relative height here in April, that might be a sign for Sushi Swap to move higher. So again, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. And this also goes to play with Uni here, right? Uni is the largest decentralized finance play. It's one of the obvious ones out there if you're interested in DeFi. And it is technically my largest position, guys, right, in regards to my trading portfolio. But critical thing to keep in mind here is the decentralized line here. Excuse me, not decentralized. Oh my gosh, I'm mixing my fundamentals with my TA. The descending line of resistance and the appreciating line of support here, building in a wedge, a coiling in a price. So notice how with all these technical patterns, especially the wedge here, you can see that this is coming in somewhere into mid to late April, right? So again, this is building into that time frame that we're talking about. And an important thing to look at here as well is ratios between two major competitive plays in the DeFi space, Sushi Swap and Uniswap, right? They are hands down competitors at the end of the day. They are not per se friends. So if you're trying to kind of expose yourself to this market, you want to take a look at ratios. And I gotta be fair, being exposed to mainly Uni right now, Sushi Swap is at a general discount comparative to where it was back in January, right? Uniswap's been leading in this case, or at least not bleeding out as bad as Sushi Swap. But it might be time for that to start to reverse, especially as we retest this midpoint here at 0.45 on the ratio, right? Who knows? We'll see. But again, I think above all, both plays are set up for upside. It's not being negative against one or the other. Now let's talk about one that I'm not so really keen on in a sense of fundamentals. I really don't care about yield farming, guys. But Yearn Finance and yield farming in general are plays that the market is watching, right? And they are a part and component of decentralized finance, right? So what we want to watch for here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure you guys can see the chart here. I apologize if my webcam has gotten in the way. But this is the Yearn Finance daily chart here. Take a look at this. Since back here, really, since December and January, all the way here to April, over 4 months, we've been basing out here against a point of resistance that was previous support back in the day and a service resistance now. And outside of this, well, a previous range of support that's been tested all the way back since November, right? And now we're waiting for that moment for it to break at above over 1 Bitcoin here and start to really chart the cycle here, going to 2 to 3 to 4 Bitcoin. And that's right, you guys heard it right. Yearn Finance tokens are in many cases worth 0.8 Bitcoin right now, 1, 2, 4 Bitcoin, as it was back here during the DeFi summer going into September. It's just because Yearn Finance's token supply is only around like 30,000 tokens. So again, don't feel like you're paying this crazy price. And you can always buy fractions of it for a trade. You can buy $100 or $1,000 worth. That all being said, guys, again, this is not a fundamental play for me. It's purely technical setup here. The longer the base, the bigger the breakout. And in DeFi, 4 months of consolidation sideways, it's really interesting to me. I don't own any Yearn Finance in this case, in the sense of any sizable position in my portfolio. It's just one that I'm keeping an eye on for transparency's sake. Now, another one that I don't really own, but I think I really would like to, is 1inch. This is another decentralized exchange play, but it's a decentralized exchange aggregator. So it's pulling from the order books of Uniswap, Sushi Swap, 0x, all the major plays out there that you can think of. And Kyber Network, right? All these different decentralized exchanges. Well, first off, we've got a nice general uptrend here since back in January against Bitcoin. And outside of this as well, if it gets up to this range here around 12,000, I have this kind of artificial line of potential resistance here, right? Previous resistance here and over here. If we get above there, I think that we've got a good chance for 1inch to really start popping off here. So again, keep an eye on this one. I like the volume. I like the momentum here. 1inch is looking very, very healthy here. And on a fundamental basis, if you're bullish on Uniswap or Sushi Swap, to be fair, guys, as there's these competitors and they're bashing against one another, if you really want to consider gas efficiency and also maximized liquidity and minimizing slippage, 1inch is that exchange, right? If you're talking about on a fundamental basis and even just a conceptual and technical basis, this is the play that really has a chance to leap up. And if you consider it on a market cap basis, I think 1inch is below $1 billion in total fully circulating supply market cap, whereas Sushi Swap is more than twice that, and Uniswap is up to, I think, got almost like 17 times that. So again, you've got more general upside potential with it being a small cap, right? And eventually going to the mid cap range here very soon. Now, the last play here that I wanted to talk about is Warp Finance. Now, as you guys probably know, Warp Finance was not only one of our top 10 plays for the year, but I am an advisor to the project. I work alongside the project in this case, and I like what they're doing. They're one of the 3 projects that I've ever advised for in the cryptocurrency space. And the reason why I like Warp Finance is because they did something that no one had done at the time within the cryptocurrency space. And that is the ability to lock up liquidity provision tokens, or LP tokens, that you would get from putting liquidity in automated market makers or decentralized exchanges like Uniswap and Sushi Swap, which we just talked about, which are still like the killer use case of DeFi. Taking those tokens and being able to use them as collateral rather than just using volatile assets like Ethereum or ERC20 token altcoins. And that is a really cool value proposition. Now, the great thing about Warp Finance here is, like most tokens, it had its pullback here. But as we can see, we've started to set in higher lows here. We had the first higher low here, second higher low here in early April, and now it looks like we're building out a base for a third higher low here. And they're in much shorter time intervals. So again, what I want to see here, I'm not just absolutely, per se bullish on it right away in the sense of price action. What I'd really love to see is a retest of this point of resistance, setting the higher low, breaking above there. And as we go throughout April, creating a full U-shaped recovery here where we can climb up higher. So go ahead and expand the chart here so you guys can see this a lot better. Really, again, starting to break out long term. Again, don't take in the time preferential here, guys. I'm not saying that it's going to happen in April, May. This is when we're generally expecting the altcoin cycle to happen, so it's more likely to happen if it's going to happen in this period than in another time period. But that's what I'm looking for here, guys. Again, I'm just saying that I like the technical setup. I like the fundamental mix here. But again, there's so many other setups in the market here, guys. And even if I didn't mention a play that you guys like or that you're watching, again, I try to strike a balance of 2 things. I'm not here to just promote endless amounts of small cap cryptocurrencies. And I'm also not going to just give you guys like the very, very safe bets. I want to find a mixture for you all of good potential reward, but also potential risk. And you have to take these different technical setups and plays and do your own due diligence. That's the critical thing to keep in mind at the end of the day, everyone. So that all being realized, as we're going through trading through the DeFi market and potentially making not only returns in USD, but also Bitcoin, it's likely that a lot of us are going to have to pay taxes to some degree. So if you guys haven't already, check out the link down below in the description. If you're interested in Taxbit, I highly recommend you guys consider the platform. They've got all types of great features. And the great thing is you can try them out before even paying. So you can plug in all your exchange data, all your wallet data. And if you want to sign up for one of the plans, you can get 10% off for using the link down below in the description, signing up through our DataDash referral link. All right, guys, so that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this DeFi market price analysis. Again, mainly focusing in on the technicals, mixing in a bit of fundamentals, as DeFi really is shaping up to be one of the coolest and most exciting narratives for the crypto space. I can't tell you guys on a fundamental basis how giddy and excited I get about decentralized finance. I really don't mind trading NFTs and other layer 1s or layer 2s, but decentralized finance is really why we're all here. I mean, outside of store of value, decentralized exchanges where you don't have to trust someone with your assets and you can go from one asset to another without permission. That's an extremely powerful technology. And earning interest and not having to earn interest through the traditional financial sector, through banks and corporations. How cool is that, right? And these are just some of the surface level concepts. There are so many other things brewing beneath the scenes that are going to shape DeFi into a mature industry in the next 3 to 5 years. But even though it's going to take 3 to 5 years and probably longer, at the same time, there's a ton of opportunity here in the interim. It's just about knowing how to find it and making sure you balance risk and reward. All right, everyone, that's it for today's video. If you guys liked it, drop a like. Consider leaving a comment down below if you got something to share. That being said, everyone, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.